Joining me now is Trevor Loudon to talk about what clearly seems to be an orchestrated national demonstration coming perhaps Saturday or on the 3rd of November. Depends on the social media post you're reading and following. But many on social media now are talking openly about their plans to hit various grocery stores and big box stores. They're naming the stores, they're naming the streets, they're naming the routes they're going to take. It seems highly orchestrated. Well, again, who could be behind this? And what could be the motivation for, well, chaos in our grocery stores and looting and rioting? First, before we go to Trevor, let's go to a quick clip of Senate Majority Leader John Thune on the Senate floor this afternoon. Watch this.
Let me just point out, if I might, that we are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown. And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all just figured out, 29 days in, that, there might be some consequences. There are people who run out of money. Yeah, we're 29 days in. And they've done their best to make sure that a lot of these programs are funded. But at some point, the government runs out of money. 13 times, people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC. My aching back. Finally realized this thing has consequences.
Yeah, well, the consequences could be huge, and they could be for you and your family, which is why I spent a whole hour on this today on radio. And I am urging my listening friends to be very cautious because you do not want to get caught in any of the melee. Certainly, we don't need children and senior adults caught in this. And of course, the question is, how prepared will your police departments and sheriff departments be? And will they put out warnings in advance telling the thugs and the degenerates and the dark-hearted fools of this country that if you, and the illegals, 59% of them who are on food stamps, if you are engaging in any theft and shoplifting, or stealing of food in the store or out in the parking lot from citizens who have bought their groceries or are headed to their car, there are going to be serious consequences. I would also urge police to get on social media along with their sheriffs and urge people not to go out and engage these people. I saw a video today, we'll play it, of a guy saying you try to take his groceries out in the parking lot, he's going to shoot you. Well, that's exactly what the power elite, that's what the anti-Second Amendment folks want. They want to see you engage in that kind of behavior and kill somebody over groceries. It's one thing to use self-defense if you feel your life is at risk or great bodily harm. Another, because someone tries to steal your groceries. And if you do that kind of thing, you're only playing right into the hand of the left to then start putting down more excuses for taking our guns. So, folks, we need to be level-headed about this and realize, and when you see a setup, don't take part. But who could be helping to orchestrate this? Will they get the government going and the food flowing again before the 1st of November? Some of these guys on social media, and there are a ton of the videos, are talking about already starting the shoplifting on Saturday, November 1st. Others are saying it's going to be a big day, November 3rd. We're going to play some of the clips for you, but I want to get a response from Trevor Loudon. Who could be orchestrating such a thing and to what benefit for their agenda? Joining me now is Trevor Loudon of TrevorLoudon.com. Trevor, have you seen any of these clips out there on social media?
No, I'm looking forward to it, Brannon. I'm a bit out of touch today, sorry.
Okay, before we go to some of them, who do you think benefits from this? Here's Senator Thune saying, look, we've tried to vote on this 13 times on the Republican side. You guys keep stopping it. Are the Marxist Democrats wanting to use, as well as say, the socialist tactic or the Marxist tactic, pressure from above, pressure from below? So you have the Marxists in the party in Washington, and that's the pressure from above. And then the pressure from below, the street people, the agitators, the community organizers, the people that are the cannon fodder. Now, I'm not talking about the person that's fallen on hard times due to the government's inflation that's destroying their wealth. And some people find themselves there and never been on stamps, food stamps, don't want to be on it, want to get off as fast as they can. And yet it's the government in many cases that has pushed them there by destroying our economy and our purchasing power. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about the people that are able-bodied and go work. They don't want to work. In fact, we have a video, I think, of one gal, Logan, don't we, who's bragging that she's on food stamps because her mother and her grandmother taught her that this is generational. This is their way of life. Then we have the 59% of illegal aliens that are here that are on food stamps. Who do you think is orchestrating this and to what agenda?
Well, on one level, it's the Democrats because they want to do anything they can to embarrass Trump. They'd like to see violence in the streets, just like they actively encouraged the George Floyd riots, which was a Chinese and communist operation. So the Democrats want this, absolutely. And then you'll get the local radical groups who'll be stirring this up, organizing people, Antifa types, communist types, and then you'll have meddling by the Russians and the Chinese who will use social media, TikTok to inflame people to loot stores and inflame people to go after the people who loot stores, just like the Russians were backing Black Lives Matter in 2020 and backing the opposition to Black Lives Matter. So it'll be a combination of all of the above, with the aim of bringing the maximum amount of chaos possible.
And so you believe there are enemies, foreign and domestic, in the country, outside the country, that are agitating for this?
Look, absolutely. They take advantage of every opportunity. You know, whether it's the George Floyd riots or the No Kings protests or the anti-Trump protests of 2017, this will be the Democrats, it'll be the domestic American left, coupled with the Russian, Chinese, and Iranian disinformation machines.
And isn't it interesting this is ramping up while we also have Putin saying, look, we have just tested again our nuclear drone, the Poseidon, something we've been warning about since 2018 and in our documentary 2019 that you're in, by the way. We have President Trump saying, yeah, we got subs parked off your coast. Now Putin says, okay, well, I've got my underwater nuclear drone, the Poseidon, that could do some, humongous tsunamis, radioactive, as well as take out a lot of your carriers and submarines that are part of your nuclear triad. So it seems like it's going back and forth. Now we have what is said to be a very heavy Russian cargo plane lands in Caracas amid U.S.-Venezuelan tensions. Supposedly the military is ramping up over there, citizens joining. I don't know, what's going to happen. Are we going to end up in doing strategic strikes from the air and then ground troops in Venezuela? Are we going to find ourselves battling Venezuela, China, Russia, Hezbollah, which are all there in Venezuela? I don't know about you, but this seems like a really good time for a lot of chaos in America to keep us thrown off balance. And then you add in the green of the red-green axis, the terrorists. How do we know that all of this chaos and looting and rioting wouldn't be a great opportunity for the Islamists to use that as cover and camouflage while the police and first responders and everybody are distracted to carry out terrorist attacks? Here's the problem. Whenever you see these kind of things ramping up, most people see only that. They have tunnel vision, and they only see this as an isolated issue. You and I see it as parts of bigger pieces of the puzzle that can be exploited for bigger agendas.
Yeah, this is the old evil empires back: Russia, China, Iran, Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua. All of their friends, and coupled with the Islamic world, are all, there's a battle going on. Venezuela is absolutely riddled with weapons aimed at America. They have hollowed out mountains down there. They have everything ready to strike America. This is way worse than the Cuban Missile Crisis of the 1960s. So that's going on. The Ukraine war, the Middle East, Rocket Boy is threatening, Japan. The Russians are building up big military presence opposite Japan as well. They've got a big military presence in the Kuril Islands. So look, nothing is off the table. We could see red, we could see green, we can see, we've got a whole bunch of foreign operators in our country, Russian Spetsnaz, Chinese special forces, cartel types. So, Yeah, look, we could have a happy white Christmas, or we could have a very, very rough December.
Look at this.
November, December. I'd be surprised if something pretty dramatic doesn't happen in the next few days. Put it that way, because Democrats do not want to solve this. They want to bring this country into chaos.
Look at this. Well, the change comes from the chaos. Saul Alinsky, the change comes from the chaos. Elon Musk today tweeted, "Civil war in Britain is inevitable. Just a question of when." Well, isn't that interesting? Tweeted today, October 29th, 2025, as it seems as though they're pushing us, the power elite, the right and the left, people on the right and the left, the Tucker Carlsons on the right, the AOCs, etc., on the left. In the middle, we get caught. Here we have a Jewish man, a visibly Jewish tourist from Jerusalem, 59 years old, suffered a brain bleed after being attacked in Midtown Manhattan. Police say a man dressed in black knocked off his yarmulke and then stomped on it, then punched him in the face near this kosher deli. We might have to zoom in on it. It's at the back of the video, toward the back of the video. You'll see him walking along and you'll see this attack happen. What I'm trying to point out here is whether it's in the UK or whether it is in America, we are constantly seeing this kind of thing, the red-green axis, the conflict. And, you know, where it's going to go, I don't know. But isn't it interesting that Elon is talking about a civil war in the UK, whereas we're looking like we might have one here in America. Boom, down he goes.
Well, that's right. And Elon, unfortunately, has a tendency to echo Russian propaganda. I think he's been a little bit fooled by it. So the goal is to get both sides expecting this and just amp up the tensions. It's not hard to get a country into civil war if you're controlling both sides of the discourse. And the communists and the Russians control both sides. You know, they've got the Tucker Carlsons, the alt-right people, the woke right people, the semi-fascists. They've got them pushing for civil war, and they've got the hard left pushing for civil war. And this is like 5% on each side. And we're stuck in the middle. But, you know, they can do this. It doesn't take much of a spark to set things off. You know, we've seen this happen many places overseas. And we've seen this with Black Lives Matter, et cetera, as well. But this is completely organized. It is completely foreign directed, foreign backed. We've got our own homegrown radicals, but they're all dependent on foreign support and foreign help. So we should realize that we are at war with Russia and China right now, and Cuba and Nicaragua, and they're trying to foment a civil war in our territory to weaken us to the point where we're easy meat. You're right, Brannon. We've got to show a lot of restraint here. We've got to be as disciplined as we can. We've got to organize food banks. We've got to liaise with our local police. All of these things to try and keep the country as calm as possible and ameliorate the problems. But it still comes back to the Democrats are going to keep pushing this until they get the result they want. So I think Trump's going to have to, the Republicans are going to have to do the nuclear option, maybe a poor choice of words, you know, abolish the filibuster in the Senate. And
Trump is even talking about the Insurrection Act if he's pushed. Let's go to a couple of these clips.
I don't think any of that's off the table. This is a revolutionary. This is an attempt at creating chaos in America, deliberate attempt. Abolish the filibuster, Insurrection Act. I think all of that should be on the table.
Let's go to a few of these clips where people are organizing for what could be Saturday or November 3rd. They're openly bragging about it. There is no apology. They feel entitled. They feel they are on the righteous side, which says a lot about our culture, our country, that people think such. They really think they're on the moral high ground to be involved in looting and stealing and the reverse racism. folks saying that they're coming for the white guy, the white gal, that you were clutching your purses before, you better really clutch them now. I mean, it's pretty racially charged. And they like to really pump their fist with the communist Black Panther power fist revolution symbol. Watch a few of these clips. Trevor says he has not seen these, so we'll get a response after he watches a couple. Here we go.
Hey, y'all out here crashing out about EBT and like that, baby. That's why I got big purses, big bags. Yeah, I got it all. I don't know why y'all crashing out about EBT, because we can meet at every Walmart, Target, and every grocery store in America and get them running up out there. They can't catch everybody. If it's 5,000 motherfuckers in the store stealing meat and everything else and running up out there, how they gonna catch her? You better be like those that was out there in Philly when they was out there doing all them riots, going on them stores, snatching out big 70-inch TVs and all them shoes and all that. Y'all motherfuckers stop crashing out about this
Yeah, to all the stores, them little corner stores, y'all need to go ahead and take them "We accept EBT" signs down, because in a minute, y'all finna be accepting these hands. I want my snap.
So y'all, I'm just thinking, I gotta come up with a master plan. They didn't cut my food stamps. I'm down to my last pack of noodles and 2 bars of soap. Something gotta shake. I'm just trying to see when we going to get the groceries. I'm thinking tomorrow a good day. We can start tomorrow. I got a route for this. We gonna start that up in New Temple. We gonna run that to Wesley Chapel, swing that down Bruce B down. We gonna gas up in the city. We with the city, because if we city, them hoes gonna be ready to die out there. So we gonna leave them alone. Bring that up round Brandon. Take that through Riverview. Swing that through Apollo. Depending on what time it is, we could take that clean down Del Mabry. Wrap that around Town and Country. We done. Whole thing is, I need a ride. I can't take my car. But I think that's a clean route.
I have a serious question. When are we gonna start looting the stores? Because I was stealing before. Now it's full-blown theft. Because what the you mean no food stamps?
All right, and of course, we had to bleep a lot of that because of all the cursing and swearing. But they're organizing what routes they're going to take. Then they're going to gas up, and then they're going to go down these streets and hit this store. And I don't know. I really don't think this is going to get solved before November 1st, because I think the Democrats want it. In fact, I think they've even said if they don't keep this going, some of their biggest donors are going to be very upset with them. So I don't know if that's the George Soros types or what, right?
Well, the Democracy Alliance, which is, a lot wider than George Soros. Everybody blames George Soros. He's like a little pebble in an ocean. He is part of the problem. But this is way bigger than George Soros, and it's connected to Russia and China, as I keep on emphasizing. Well, the big mistake we make, it's all George Soros. When George Soros dies, this will all stop. No, he's just a part of this. He's a cog. This is Russia and China. But, those ones we saw, I'm sure some of these are actors. Some of them are probably genuine, but some of them are actors, because, you're out there telling people what you're going to do, planning felonies, and posting it online. Well, yeah, I'm sure some of them are genuine, because some of them are stupid enough to do that. But also there'll be actors there. There'll be deliberate ones as well amongst the mix, just trying to amp this up. The whole goal is escalation. Escalate the right, escalate the left, trying to radicalize the middle. So it's going to be a mixture of real criminal intent and malicious propaganda intent all mixed in. It's hard to tell one from the other.
And Trevor, I don't know what's going to happen. I have no clue. But I will tell you this. The police need to come out, the sheriffs need to come out in advance and be on social media telling folks what is going to happen if you do this, and then warning the other folks So don't go out there and engage them. Don't go out there and confront them because you're taking the bait. Logan, I want to play the video I played on radio and /TV at 1 o'clock Central Day
exactly
of
right.
the guy with the Southern accent talking about what's going to happen if someone tries stealing his groceries in the grocery store parking lot. Because this is what I'm talking about, folks. Okay, this is what I think you don't want to do. I understand the guy's frustration, his passion. Maybe he's just letting off some steam. He wouldn't really do it. But you don't want to be killing people over groceries. You know, the only defense is if you feel your life is at great risk of bodily harm or death. Someone walking up and stealing your groceries, that doesn't justify killing them. And if you go down that road, not only are you going to end up probably losing your liberty and freedom in civil lawsuits up the yin yang, but you're going to be playing into their hand for saying, you see, the MAGA people, the Second Amendment people, they're dangerous. They can't be trusted with weapons. It's not what we want. This is what they want. Watch this and don't do this. Watch.
So you're going to steal my basket full of groceries after I leave the store? Yeah, I don't think so there, Hen. I've seen a lot of videos talking about how people's EBT is getting cut off, and so they're going to be stealing groceries straight out of the store. But I've also seen a lot of videos talking about how people are going to grab baskets whenever they come out of the store. That way they're not stealing from the store, they're stealing from an individual. Well, you grab my shopping cart full of groceries that I bought and paid for with my money, and you're going to hear two sounds. There's going to be three sounds. Maybe. It's certainly going to be two sounds. The first sound you're going to hear is me saying, now, Han, that's a bad idea there. Better walk the on. If you don't walk on, that would be the next sound you hear. And the third sound, son, I'll hear it. You won't. No, sir. Now, people are going to come back on this video and say, oh, you'd end somebody over a basket full of groceries? Yeah, I would. Because that person is deciding to steal from me, they've already decided that that's what their life is worth. Well, they made that decision. They made that choice.
Again, I understand people's frustrations, but don't play into that. And I think we need sheriffs and police putting out videos on social media, telling the criminals what's going to happen if you do it, telling the citizens that don't want to be involved in criminality to stay home, stay away, don't confront these people, do not get into it with them. Certainly if they have weapons or guns or knives, walk away. It's not worth a cart full of groceries. But do your grocery shopping in advance and stay away and let us deal with this problem. Unfortunately, many of our police departments have been infiltrated, as we saw the other night. Antifa is now apparently running the Portland Police Department, giving them cover. So sadly, many of your police departments, they got rid of their intelligence divisions years ago. They have no clue who the imam is at the local mosque. They had no idea the terrorist-tied imams they bring in to speak. They have no clue what's going on with the Marxist groups. Sadly, most of the police chiefs couldn't even define Marxism, couldn't even tell you what taqiyya is, could not describe the difference between the Muslim Brotherhood and Hezbollah or Hamas and its, origins. They don't know Muslim Brotherhood started in 1928, gave birth to Hamas in 87, and CAIR in 1994. They don't know these things. And yet you expect them to solve the problems? Well, if the police aren't going to do it, we know the politicians, many of them aren't. That's police, politicians, and let's go to another P, pastors. Where are they? I said today they should be putting out email alerts, email blasts, text alerts to their congregations saying, let's shop up in advance, folks. Stay away, not be a part of the problem. Let's also make sure we have some senior adults who maybe can't go do their shopping. Let's go help them. Let's get the shopping done early. We don't want senior adults out in the middle of this. We don't need a single mom with her kids out in the middle of this. And I also said, if this starts to spiral and becomes an issue for a while, what are the churches going to do? Have they been so busy building their temples unto themselves, multi-million-dollar buildings? I bet most of them don't have 6 months worth of food for their needy in their own church. I'm not talking about the ministries they might do outside the walls. I'm talking about, do they have 6 months of food, a year's supply of food for the most needy of fixed income, low income, single mom, the senior citizens? If we have a problem, do they even know where their own sheep are? Do they know that, hey, Sister Sally, she's 80 and she's in nursing care. And if we have a blackout in the country, the power goes down, there's probably not going to be enough workers going to the nursing home to care for these people. Are they going to sit there in their soiled undergarments for hours and days? Or are they going to get fed? Are they going to get water? We got to be ready to go check on our own sheep. But you know what? The problem is we have a lot of pastors today that love that title, but they're not pastors. They're hirelings. They don't know where the sheep are. They don't give a rat's rear about the sheep. They only milk the middle class for the dollars, just like the politicians. So if you're counting on the P of police, politicians, and pastors, you're in big trouble because there are very few pastors left. But if we had the country we need, we'd have the politicians speaking up and speaking out right now. We would have the police speaking up and speaking out right now. And we'd have the pastors speaking up and speaking out right now and being prepared to be a part of the solution, not the problem, or engage these leftists in the street that want that. True or false?
I think that's very good analysis, Brannon. Now, I'm not a Mormon, but I'll tell you what, one community that will be prepared and will look after themselves and will look after each other are the Mormon churches, and that they should be commended for that. And also, it's a benefit living in a red state. Look, when we had the hurricanes in Florida, our local sheriff told any looters they would be shot on sight.
Wow.
And we had virtually no looting. Where it's going to be worse is in the blue states and the big cities in the blue states. I don't think it's going to be a big problem in the rural areas, the conservative areas, because people have guns. People look after themselves a lot better. This is going to be largely a city problem, I think. And you're absolutely right. Where are the pastors saying anything about this? The police should be saying a lot more than they are. I don't hear a lot going on. I've faith that they're watching the community in my area and where in the areas that I live in, in Florida, etc. But if you're living in a big city in California or Illinois and you can possibly get out of the big city, I think this might be a good time to go. I really think this might be a good time to take a holiday. And look, be prepared. Look after know where your relatives are, know where your families are, and follow your advice. Get your groceries in early. There may not be as big a problem as we expect, but I think it could be pretty serious.
Well, I want to go to the UK again. This is the red-green axis, the Marxists, the Islamists, the Marxists over there, the globalists over there have led in the green. And look at here. This is a violent stabbing that just took place in London, resulting in the death of a 49-year-old man. I bring this up because Elon tweeted today that civil war is coming to the UK. Sadly, it seems to be coming to America. It's being engineered and orchestrated. Look at this. And watch this guy get stabbed over and over and over again. Horrific. Absolutely horrific. And then we have a call that came in to a station in London. I want you to hear what this lady had to say, because again, I think this is all constructive for us in America, because what they're doing to Great Britain, what they're doing to London, I think is what they want to do here in America and are doing. But listen to this woman's desperate plea.
Oh, I live in the borough right next to Hillingdon.
Yep.
And I moved into my house in 2019. My local shop, there's been 3 stabbings, 1 murder since then.
Wow.
My friend was murdered last year up on the high street. Girl I know was murdered in Southall Park. The government are failing us. I'm so scared for my children. I have a 22-year-old son, and I'm begging him to move out of the country.
Let me just stop there. The government didn't fail you, ma'am. The government created this on purpose. They brought in all these Afghan and Islamic and communist refugees on purpose to de-Christianize, destabilize Western societies so they can then offer you the solutions of digital ID, Mr. Tony Blair, Mark of the Beast type garbage to track your every movement and give everybody a biometric code so we know who's here. They're doing this so you will cry out and accept your digital slavery that you otherwise would not accept. So it's not that they failed you. Oh, yes, they did in one sense, ma'am. but they have set you up and allowed your people to be murdered on purpose. Let's continue.
Oh my goodness, I feel for you.
What are these politicians doing to us? They're putting our children in so much danger. They're putting everyone in danger, and they're not doing nothing to help us.
And that's the thing a lot of us feel. You know, how many is too many?
They're pushing us to do something that we don't want to do. We are peaceful people. British people never vote against their government.
Yeah,
they're going to push us to it because they're not listening to us. Our friends, our family are dying. I had a cousin murdered 20 years ago who was stabbed to death, and nothing has changed, Julia.
I'm so sorry, Sarah. I'm sure I speak for everyone listening and watching right now. My heart goes out to you, and that's the reality.
I don't leave the house without a man.
You're that worried.
Well, everyone I know is getting stabbed. They're getting raped in parks. This is where I live, not where the politicians live.
Do you think that's part of the issue, that they don't live in the real world?
Keir Starmer, if you're listening to this, please do something. I'm petrified. I've never broken the law in my life. I've been a law-abiding citizen. I've been a civil servant. Please do something. It's us that are dying on the streets. You talk about being racist. We're not racist. My sister's mixed race. Yeah. I was a white child brought up in a mixed race family. Yeah. Nothing to do with race.
Exactly.
It's to do with our safety.
Sarah.
It's to do with ideology, Islam. But she can't say too much. She'd get arrested. The Afghan, the Islamist, the Red Green Axis, the Labour Party, which is the Fabian Socialist. Remember Fabian Window, George Bernard Shaw, 1910, remold the world nearer to the heart's desire after you put it on a crisis and on fire, which they manufacture?
Keir Starmer is a Fabian. Every British Labour Prime Minister has been a Fabian. Most of his cabinet are Fabians. And Keir Starmer had a personal file in the Czech intelligence service for his youthful Marxism and connections to the Czech, to the Czechs. So yeah, you're right, Brannon. They haven't failed us. The deliberate plan is to create a state of misery and fear. That's what Nechayev, the Russian philosopher who basically gave Lenin his ideas, said. Our goal is to make the working class as miserable as they can possibly be, so they will join us in revolution. So, we have to understand malevolence. Most of us live fairly easy lives in a good country, in a good community, and most of us do not really understand evil. But if you've lived in America for the last few years under Joe Biden, and you live in Britain under Keir Starmer right now, and you don't recognize evil, you've got your eyes closed.
Well, our audience recognizes it. And tonight we're asking our audience, do your shopping early, be aware, make sure your other friends and family members who maybe aren't plugged into social media or programs like this are aware of what we're talking about. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. Don't get yourself into harm's way. And I'm sorry that we have to be the ones to do it, because the 3 Ps, pastors, politicians, and police, aren't doing their job. Many of them have been co-opted, or they have become basically ignorant by choice. Not all of them, but most of them. It's few and far between that we have any good politicians or police or pastors. That's the sad reality. It is what it is. And so we're here telling you what is likely to happen should they not get the snap turned back on. And it seems as though the goal is not to get it turned on. So you create the crisis, put the people in a conflict, and get them to then offer up their freedom and liberty for the so-called solutions, the manufactured chaos. Take a look at this, trevorloudon.com, trevorloudon.com. You can check out all of his great books, articles, and more right there, trevorloudon.com, trevorloudon.com. As always, Trevor, thank you for your insight and for being with us.
Always good. Thanks, Brannon. It's good to be on a show where you don't have to guard your words and you can say it as it is. it's not very common, and so it's why I enjoy coming on.
Well, that's why we like having you here with us, and our audience appreciates it. We always do great numbers when you're on.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Brannon, and thanks so much to the audience, and keep safe.
Thank you. You too, my friend. We'll be checking back in as this unfolds over the next few days. And folks, if necessary, we'll be live on the air Saturday, Sunday. We will break in. We'll be monitoring all of this throughout the weekend. And with social media, it's easy to do. Our team will come in and work on Saturday and Sunday, or we'll just do a special broadcast as necessary. But again, we're brought to you by you. So thank you for your support, where we can give you unfiltered news. We do not apologize for the truth, and we don't self-censor here, but we do need your support. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Folks, our audience could be even larger if we were to dumb it down. Did you know that? If we were to dumb it down, we would have a bigger audience. If we kept it real simple and used very simple terms, don't talk about the Labor Party, Fabian socialism, communism, Marxism, Islam. Don't be talking about Hamas, Hezbollah. These words, I can barely keep up with all the groups and how they work together. Keep it simple. Just do like Sean Hannity and talk about how evil the Democrats are and how wonderful the GOP and Republicans are, and they're going to save us all. Give people a lot of hopium and false hope. And that tomorrow night there's going to be major breaking news and lots of people doing the perp walk. Wish that never came. Remember that? Yeah, we can gin up a lot of emotion and never really get to the root cause. Or we can actually talk about the worldviews and the ideology, the values that are, bringing us to where we are today. And so we're not going to cater to people that are an inch deep and a mile wide. We're catering to people that are thinking people, that want to learn, that want to understand reason, logic, context, history, the Bible prophecy. So it is a specifically programmed network that is not about big numbers, but about big truth. But that means we're all going to have to do our part. Because if your audience is huge, then you can bring in a lot of revenue. But if your audience is programmed on truth, not numbers, then it gets a little bit tougher. And we're not about to compromise truth for numbers and thus money. So if you appreciate what I just laid out to you, which is our commitment, it's our mission statement, then I'm asking you to support us now. Worldviewfoundation.com. We have to have a big November and December to give us the budgets we need for 2026. Worldviewfoundation.com. Worldviewfoundation.com. Please consider going there, setting up an automatic contribution if you could. You'll also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. And you'll find our phone number. You can leave a voicemail or a text. Melissa, my wife, will get back to you, help you make a contribution over the phone. Worldviewfoundation.com. Thank you. We'll be right back. Would you like to gain access to 36 years of Christian worldview programming, news and information, all my books, ebooks, documentaries, and more? Worldviewtube.com/vault. Worldviewtube.com/vault. Understand the times, where we've been and where we're going. Worldviewtube.com/vault.